Greetings Acolytes, Evren here, this time talking about a very recent interview with Sparrok from Owlcat Games, made possible by Slandered Gaming and Revan619. If you are into Rogue Trader, the last CRPG by Owlcat Games, it is very possible you already know who they are. If not, Slandered and Revan make a lot of Rogue Trader content, I suggest you check them out. I'll put the relevant links in the description below, and Sparrok is a Senior Community Manager at Owlcat. You see him active on various forums like Reddit or the Steam discussions, among others. This interview was very interesting because Sparrok was quite open about giving new information on Dark Heresy, the next Warhammer 40k CRPG Owlcat is developing. Dark Heresy is going into open alpha for the game's backers on December 16th. I am one of them and I'm looking forward to it. First of all, Dark Heresy should be a bit shorter than Rogue Trader, but wider. By wide, Sparrok means that the game is intended to have more reactivity to your actions, with more branching options. If this is the case, based on my experience with CRPGs, it will add a lot of replayability. Owlcat titles already have plenty of it. Without always comparing Dark Heresy to Rogue Trader, think of how many different things you can do in Wrath of the Righteous with different alignments and mythic pets. My guess is that their intention is to have the game react not only to your conviction choices, but also to how you solve various cases as an Inquisition detective. I recently made a video on the presentation of the investigation system, and they said there will be consequences based on how you solve each case. Sparrok also said that some locations will look entirely different based on your choices. Putting two and two together, my guess is that depending on the conclusions of each case, will shape the destiny of certain locations in the Calixis sector. I am thinking of how slightly different Urak 5, Raikadi Fila and Raikad Minoris can be, depending on the order you visit them in Rogue Trader Chapter 1, and they will likely expand on that concept. This is exciting but also slightly worrying, since it adds permutations to the game state and a lot of things can break there. Moving from the game's scope to the story, Sparrok said that the Night Lord, the Traitor Space Marine chapters in the trailer, will have a major role in Dark Heresy's story. He did not go into more detail because those would have been spoilers. My guess is that our investigations in the sector will gradually uncover their involvement in whatever is afflicting it, which is not a big leap on my part. When there is treason, blasphemy or unrest in Warhammer 40k, it is almost always chaos. Most of the character odors are back, so we can expect the companions to be nicely fleshed out like in the previous games. The party size will be 6 characters, and the total number of companions available will be similar to Rogue Trader. Sparrok did not reveal an exact number, but that is still a lot of companions to choose from for your active party. The immediate conclusion is that not all of them has been shown in trailers and press material, and Sparrok confirmed that. There are more companions coming, and one of them will be very different mechanically from what we are used to. He did not get into more details and only teased us, but my first thought went to Finian the Talking Weapon in Wrath of the Righteous. We'll see if this mysterious companion will be something similar to poor Finian or something completely different. Companions will be romanceable, like in the previous games, and not all of them will be available for every type of character we create. Some players will inevitably be disappointed, but companions having their own preferences and opinions gives them more depth. Also, some companions will be tied to your conviction, which adds more replayability. Sparrok also said that most companions will be available early in the game, since the team took the feedback regarding Solo Morning Lex Imperialis. He originally joined your party in late Chapter 2, but by popular demand they changed it and made it available at the beginning of that chapter instead. Regarding companions, the pets introduced in Lex Imperialis will not return, and I cannot say I am disappointed since I was not a big fan. Their presence will be restricted to the servo skulls carried by your acolyte. These are tools, probably equipable, not the servo skull swarms from Rogue Trader. And our crude companion Rachti has an alien bird as an animal companion, which is part of her core mechanic. I'm imagining she's some sort of ranger with an animal companion. Speaking of pronunciation of names, since I'm not sure about Rachti, Sparrok confirmed again that Dark Heresy will be fully voice acted and that it has roughly the same word count as Rogue Trader. That's a lot. He also said the game will not have a narrator and the main character will not be voiced. The reasons are that, besides allocating their budget better, some people do not connect with the voiced main character, and having a narrator can sometimes detract from the experience. I am not sure I agree with that, but if it means that every companion and NPC will be voiced, I am on board. While I do not mind reading, actually my last Let's Play ever was Planescape Torment, and I read everything aloud in that game. I completely understand players feeling overwhelmed by the amount of text. Also, good voice acting deepens the character portrayal. There is no doubt about that on my part. I doubt the alpha will be fully voice acted, but I hope the final version avoids companions having some lines voiced and some not. That's disappointing. Character creation will be similar to Rogue Trader. The big difference is that instead of giving you every ability and talent at once, Dark Heresy will divide them into sets that unlock gradually, depending on your character development choices. There will still be Origins and Tier 1 and 2 archetypes, and I spent time talking about the Psyker. The Psyker will not only be an Origin, but will also have two later archetypes, the Mystic and the Savant, closer to the tabletop version of Dark Heresy. You can follow that path, or hybridize by choosing other archetypes. Some archetypes will return from Rogue Trader, like the Soldier, while others will be new. Interestingly, Sparrok said that the combat system has been completely overhauled. Maps will have more verticality, with the ability to climb or jump between levels. The momentum mechanic from Rogue Trader has become a morale mechanic for each actor on the battlefield. Enemies reaching very low morale may panic, attack allies, run away or rush you. They may also surrender, which ends combat early if you accept it. Sparing an enemy may have narrative consequences later, and I think that is great. I wonder if we'll have prison cells to put them in, with the option to interrogate them later. Armor and weapons have been reworked. Some will be tied to specific convictions, and will be able to aim at specific body parts. Armor is an additional health bar that must be depleted before harming an enemy. As long as armor is above 0, the character is protected from trauma and vital damage. Some mechanical enemies will only have armor, and will be able to hit vulnerable spots and inflict conditions. Power and melta weapons will be good against armor, while bolt and chain weapons will be good against enemy health. There seems to be a new type of damage called vital damage, which inflicts additional wounds and possibly extra conditions, but it was more hinted than fully explained. It should be different from injuries. Sparrok also said the team tried to simplify many formulas, making bonuses more meaningful and easier to understand, so players feel less overwhelmed. The initiative bar will now be at the top of the screen, finally, in a more intuitive way than Rogue Trader, as I mentioned in my review. The initiative calculation will probably still be a bit complicated, just as in Rogue Trader as I said in my combat guide. Let's hope it's explained better. Cutscenes should be more engaging, as we saw in the Lex Imperialis DLC, and in my opinion, Lex Imperialis has some great cutscenes for a CRPG. As for other details, co-op will not be available in alpha, and Owlcat has no DLC plans for Dark Heresy at the moment because, clearly, the base game is still in development. This is actually great to hear. It means they haven't left some content behind for future monetization. They hope to have a smoother launch by capitalizing on the experience from previous titles and providing a more polished experience from the start. This is what I gather from the hour-long interviews Slandered and Revan did with Sparrok, and I am happy they managed to make it happen, since many interesting details were covered. Again, I'll put the links in the description below. Of course, everything is still in development, so things may change, or I may have misunderstood something, so do not take this as written in stone. Still, it was very interesting overall. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want more details on Dark Heresy, activate the purity seals below and subscribe to stay up to date on this game. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.